So, coming to Satyam scandal, what happened was, this scandal is called as India's Enron, right? It's called as India's Enron. This company was formed in 87 by Ramaraju and Ramalinga Raju, two brothers. Henceforth, we will just call them Raju brothers or Raju, right? So, company started with 20 employees providing IT and BPO services in 1980s, but gradually within 15-20 years it had become one of the leading players in the field of IT. So, the Satyam computers, so it experienced a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of 40%, and that is too high. You can imagine, right? Who grows at 40%? If you look at companies, so it experienced a growth rate of 40%, and then it was getting various awards and recognitions. For example, MJ Consult recognized as a leader in Indian corporate governance and accountability, and they were given the Golden Peacock Award. If I remember correctly, even CA Institute also gave them some award for corporate governance and all. So, suddenly in 2006, 7, 8 times, Ramalinga Raju was one of the heroes of Indian corporate sector, right? But late in 2008, Satyam's board members agreed to acquire a company called as Metas. So, this company Metas, see, Satyam was a listed company. Satyam was a listed company. What's the difference between a public company versus a private company? Public company is utilizing or taking funds from public, either in the form of shares or debentures, bonds, etc., right? So, Satyam was a public company and it agreed to acquire a private company called as Metas. This company Metas was founded by or formed by Raju and was in the business of real estate. However, the acquisition resulted in a lot of problem and lot of noise, and why? What was the I will explain why. And there was another issue, just as he was explaining, our guest speaker was explaining about how companies were not recognizing or recognizing false revenues. Do you remember a few instances cited that companies were recognizing false revenues which were not even revenues? Why? They were the buyers, they were the sellers, was one example given. There were other examples also given. He gave 5 to 7 examples, but all of them, and I had specifically told him, please keep it as international or global. The reason is we don't want to, comment on any Indian company, but we can discuss 3 frauds today, that's not an issue. But if it's an existing company, then we don't want to enter into any controversial territory, right? So, what happened with this company was, look at this. I will explain Satyam versus Metas in greater details in the next slide. But what happened here is company did not have evidence of fees charged to subcontractors. So, it was recognizing some revenues without any, if I am selling then you are buying. Are you getting it? If I am selling then you must be buying, right? So, a seller existed but no buyer. Similarly, there were issues related to channeling of funds. All of you are employees of a company, but these 4 people, not them, these 4 people, they are all, if they are sitting on the payroll, they are all imaginary employees. So, imaginary employees were given salaries and those funds were taken out of the company. People who did not exist were given salaries and those funds were taken out of company. So one issue was unnecessary revenue recognition, because there was no such revenue. Some fees was charged to subcontractors, but there were no such subcontractors. So, you are showing revenues. Then, we had this case of Satyam versus Metas. What was happening in Satyam versus Metas was, go to the next slide, then I will explain. Yeah. So, Satyam is this public company. And if you look at Metas, this is just the mirror image. Are you getting it? So they had formed this private company called Metas, owned by the Raju brothers, and which had invested significantly in real estate, land and building, etc. And this company, as we all know, in 2008 September, Lehman Brothers collapsed, right? So the after effect of the collapse of Lehman Brothers was the stock markets went down significantly globally. Stock markets went down significantly globally, right? And once the stock markets went down, who's taking attendance? So once the stock, oh, so you're doing it. Okay. So once the stock markets went down, it has a corresponding effect or a ripple effect on other markets also. So even real estate markets fell down. So the real estate prices fell down by 30-40%. Stock market went down by 50%, right? And real estate market also went down significantly. So what happened was they had invested a lot of money in real estate, and very often in real estate, how you fund real estate is through loans, right? So for example, you understand loans, right? So if the value of, let us say, invested, I am just giving you a simple example just to help you understand. Let us say you invested in a flat at 100 rupees, right? It can be 100 rupees, can be 100 million also, right? Or 100,000 also. So you invested in a flat 100 rupees. Against that, you can take bank loan of about 80%. So all you need to pay from your pocket is 20 rupees. 80 rupees will be funded by a bank loan. And why would bank give you a loan? Bank will say, I am giving you a loan because I have this security. They will take it as a mortgage. You have seen lots of taxis hypothecated to State Bank of India, hypothecated to Bank of Baroda, and so on. You have seen that written at the back of taxis, right? And that's the same with house loans also. When they give you the loan, they keep the original house loan or flat documents with themselves. So if you are not able to repay the loan, they will sell it and recover their loans, right? So that's how they operate. So this is called as a secured loan. Why is it? Even in balance sheets you will see secured loans and unsecured loans. This is a secured loan because it is secured against some asset, right? So now you have the house or the flat is valued at 100 rupees against a loan of 80 rupees. The flat, the market collapses, the value of your flat goes down from 100 to 70, say. 80 rupees is the loan. Your own 20 rupees of investment has gone down the drain. Are you getting it? Your 20 rupees has gone down the drain. So what will happen is, for that 20 rupees has gone. So what do you do in such a case? Now you have to repay this bank loan of 80 rupees. Either they will take over the asset or you have to repay them the loan. One of the two must happen, right? So Metas realized it had become worthless, but Satyam, who was owning Metas? Raju brothers. Who was owning Satyam? Satyam was a listed company. So Raju brothers were holding a reasonable chunk. I don't remember how much, maybe 30-40%, whatever that was. 42%. So, but who owns the balance 58%? Others. Everyone else. See, if I am LIC, I am holding say 10%. You have spent, let's say, 500 crores or 1000 crores on acquiring this company, Metas. But we know this company is worthless. Why pay 500 crores or 1000 crores, whatever the amount was, that is immaterial, for acquiring a useless private limited company. Are you getting the point? So, the issue was public funds were utilized to acquire a company that was in a financial mess because of real estate crisis, and that created a lot of noise in the minds of people. Are you getting that? So, gradually because of this, because of imaginary employees being paid salaries, because of false revenue recognition, so they were just basically, let us say, actually imaginary employees getting salary increases your expenses, decreases your profit, but they were indulging in other ways to inflate their profits. And this imaginary employee getting paid salaries is a straight away funneling of resources from company to outside into the private pockets. Are you getting it? खुद की जेब में पैसा चला गया. So that was the issue. So these were some of the major issues with Satyam. Next. So even though Raju had established a fantastic IT firm, he was still involved in real estate. We have already mentioned that. And then it is said that there was this independent director, Harvard professor Krishna Palipu. He was on the board of Satyam, and it is said, we don't know for sure, that he was the one who started his whistleblowing efforts under a fake name and provided all the details to the auditor. Who was the auditor? Pricewaterhouse. So, and what happened was, this is just some, we are already short of time, this is just some fun YouTube videos about fake FD receipts, and you know, so we will not play that, we are already short of time. So, and he was an independent director sitting on the board of Satyam, Krishna Palipu, and a professor at Harvard. That was 2008-9. Since then, so what happened eventually, once the fraud was discovered, we will go to that. So eventually Raju brothers had to go to jail, and this professor, an Indian origin professor, has since then not come to India. You know, can you imagine, right, how dangerous it is to sit on the boards of companies if some fraud is detected. It is said that he was the one who helped the auditors and the regulators through fake email IDs and all, but he knows there are multiple issues. One, he is not safe in India. Second, if he comes to India, possibly he might be arrested. So, because people who were sitting on the board, many of them were put behind bars. So, it became a major challenge. Are you getting the issue? So, next. So, what were the repercussions of the scam? The company law board suspended the existing, in those days we had something called as a company law board. So, they suspended the existing board on 10th of January 2009, and PwC was almost on the verge of sinking. PricewaterhouseCoopers was almost on the verge of sinking, right? They escaped narrowly. The partner involved of Pricewaterhouse who signed the audit reports of Satyam, he was also in jail, but PwC as an entity itself was on the verge of sinking. But because of the international clout or whatever reason,